Good morning, my name is Geoff Olmstead. I am the nursery manager here at Orchard Nursery in Lafayette, and today I'm going to talk about planting some planters, some containers. So the first one I'm actually going to do two today. One is just an annual planter, basically for the 4th of July. So annuals, not many people do a lot of annuals because they require more water, and you have to change them out periodically, basically twice a year, once for the spring and summer, and once in the fall and winter. And a lot of people just want to do perennial planters where they have the plants that they plant and they keep them in there for the duration. So I'm going to start off with a little 4th of July annual planter. And what I've chosen to do is I've chosen to use salvia. This is a little annual salvia. And then I've also chosen to use verbena for my red and petunias for my white. And I've also chosen to use a blue pot. So we have red, white, and blue for the 4th of July. So the first thing that when you plant a planter, the best thing to do is to get a keeper stopper. This is a little screen that you put over the hole to prevent the soil from washing out, but mainly to prevent insects, earwigs, sow bugs, and all that stuff from coming up into the center of the hole. Take this little screen and you put it over the hole. Then we're going to use our potting soil. So this is Pro potting soil, excellent potting soil, full of all kinds of good stuff. The bat guano, worm castings, a little bit of chicken manure, kelp meal, and mycorrhiza. These are annuals. I'm going to really kind of fill it up almost all the way to the top. So the next thing I'm going to do is, people are very concerned about the water shortage here in California. Which is very understandable. Containers really can take more water than plants in the ground. So I am actually going to add soil moist. This is a polymer that you put into the soil, and what it does is each little granule expands as it gets wet, and then as the soil around it dries out, it releases the moisture back into the soil. The caution with this stuff is not to use too much. Very, very little. I'm only going to use about a teaspoon in this pot. So I'm only going to use about that much, and just sprinkle it in here. Mix it all up. So since we're going to do annuals, I'm going to fill it most of the way up, and then I'm going to put this big tall one in the center because I want this one gets very tall. Backfill. So this is about ½ an inch below the surface. And then petunia. And I'll do a verbena. These are a little more root bound, so I'm going to break up the root. Another petunia. Put this last verbena. The thing with the annuals is you can really pack them in pretty tight. I'm leaving these guys a little bit of room to grow, but you can pack them all right next to each other. So now there's two types of fertilizers that you can use after you finish planting them. One is Osmocote for those people who don't fertilize very often, or they're not consistent with their fertilizing. Container gardens really need a little more fertilizing than usual. So Osmocote, this flower and vegetable fertilizer, is great to put in prior to planting. This one you really only have to apply every 4 months. It's a slow release fertilizer. For me, I personally like Maxi. So Maxi comes in a couple different formulas. For the annuals, I'm going to use the bloom fertilizer because I want them to bloom, right? So I'm going to use the bloom fertilizer. This stuff you can fertilize once a month. Once a month feeding is excellent. And how you apply this is you basically use 1 heaping tablespoon per gallon of water. Mix it all up. And water it in. Just for fun, I'm going to put my little American flag on one side and my skyrockets on the other. And there we have our patriotic planter. Alright, so next I'm going to do a perennial planter. This planter is for the shade area. So when I do perennial shade planters, I like to mix it up with the foliage because you use foliage color instead of the flower color. there's a couple ways to look at it. One is where you can see with our annual planter, I put the height in the center of the pot and then the medium or low stuff around it. For a perennial planter, I'm going to do the height towards the back, and then I'm going to do a medium-sized rounded plant off to the side, and then I'm going to do something that cascades and spills out over the front. Once again, we're going to use keeper stoppers. Potting soil. This one I'm not going to do too high because I have a 1 gallon container. So again, I'm going to use the Soil Moist. So for this one, I'm going to use the Osmocote. Actually, this comes with a shaker or a pour, so I'm just going to shake it in there. Now I'm going to start with the bigger one. I'm going to shove this right in here, just kind of towards the back. Since I have 4-inch, I can pour the rest of the soil. Pack it down. So this is Heuchera Marmalade Berry. Coral Bells. The foliage color on this is great. This is kind of just a dark foliage. And then the next one, this is an Ipomea. They call it a sweet potato. This limey green foliage, chartreusey foliage, is real pretty. And what it'll do is it'll contrast the dark with the flowers. This one will cascade out. Stick that in there. For this one, I'm going to also do a little bit of Maxi in there as well. Fishes love Maxi. They love fish emulsion. They love all kinds of all that other kind of fertilizer. So I'm just going to do a little bit of, just to give it an initial boost, instead of wasting or waiting for that Osmocote to come through. I'm just going to give it a little bit of Maxi as well. This one is a perennial planter, long-lasting, I'd say between 5 and 7 years before they get kind of too overgrown and woody. There you have it. So this little planter can go anywhere where you have some morning sun, afternoon shade. That's it. Simple, easy, done.